parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do. Uncle Boston Harbor in our view. Politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains. Who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville are spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects.
Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America since 1974, and Somerville Connects. What's your Somerville story? Today, I would love to introduce you to the amazing man with voices you will always remember, Jim Rabb. Welcome.
Thank you very much, JoJo. And we all thank you, and we'll get to that in a moment. The rest of the we is here. We'll bring them out when it's time. It's great to see you. Thank you, JoJo.
Thank you. So glad you're here. Jim, I met you 10 years ago on Cape Cod, and you've been to my home a couple of times.
Yes.
And as I've gotten to know you over the years, I discovered that you have a very unique talent. You have many, many, many different voices. And when you were talking to me, I just said, am I talking to Jim? Who am I talking to? So Jim, I'd like you to take us on a little journey. Tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, whatever you want to share, because all our viewers and listeners, we know nothing about you.
All right.
So you're going to take us on a journey and what led you up to this point in your life.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start back when I was a young boy. I found a tape recorder that my dad had back in the early 60s, and I was in an all tile bathroom, and I started doing voices that I heard cartoon characters, and I recorded a whole lot of stuff on my dad's tape recorder. I thought it sounded pretty good. He was actually kind of surprised that I was playing with his tape recorder because it was a new device, and asked me what all that nonsense was. Well, the nonsense apparently was a hidden talent that I was just starting to come out. And I've worked on it for a lot of years here and there, and I've done a lot of theater. But so I grew up in the East Coast, out in the Boston area. Actually, I was born outside of New York, and then I moved up to Massachusetts, the home of the lobsters and wonderful things like that. And got involved in theater in high school, did a little bit, majored in theater in college. I then moved out to the Midwest in 1980. I've done about 50 stage performances, many of them because of the different voices I was able to bring to my characters. A lot of folks questioning whether I'd be able to maintain those voices throughout the run of the show, and much to their surprise and my pleasure and theirs as well, I was able to. I've done a little bit of radio, and I've had some time doing some other things, and I'm just not sure. I do come from a family of folks, and maybe this is a little name dropping, but a cousin of mine is a very well-known movie producer and director in Hollywood by the name of Oliver Stone. So I do come from
Seriously?
As serious as
He's as serious as a heart attack, JoJo. Trust me.
and
This is the first I'm hearing about this. Now, what relation is Oliver Stone to you?
I believe he's a second cousin.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close. Second's
Yeah.
pretty close.
Yes, I did have I've only met with him once here in Chicago. He was doing a book signing, and I didn't know that I was even related to him until much later in my life. And I guess my dad's mother and his mother or grandmother's, there was a relationship there. I don't know the exact how it was set up, but be that as it may, I know there's a lot of creativity in my family. My dad actually was a special effects artist in cartoons such as Popeye, and he worked on the.
Seriously?
He's not kidding you, JoJo. He's telling you straight up.
So he did special effects for the original Gulliver's Travels. In fact, because of a process he came up with, that studio stayed in business, and the movie was produced. The cartoon, first feature-length cartoon, was produced due to a process he came up with. So there's a lot of creativity in the family, and and I've had it, and I'm hoping to share it with the world, which is one of the things I'm so excited about, having the opportunity to be with you and share with you some of the things that make people smile. And
Okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit. You said that you did some of these voices back in the day when you were performing?
Yes. One of them, I never forget, I got a phone call from someone who asked me if I wanted to be in their play. And I asked what the name of the play was. It was called The Mumberly Inheritance. And he said, we're looking for a Dudley Do-Right type character. And I said, Dudley Do-Right, I know the name, but I don't. And he said to me on the phone, it's the guy that goes, oh, Nell, what shall we do? So I got off the phone from Tom, and I had got in the shower, and we all sound wonderful in the shower, as you know, people singing in the shower.
That's right.
So I started practicing, oh Nell, what shall we do? Oh Nell. And a couple of minutes later, I called Tom up and, hello, Tom Sanchez, please. And he said, who's this? Jim Rabb, you asked me to be in your show. And he's like, you got the part. You got to come down and read. I went and read, and the question from most of the folks was, great voice, Jim, but if you can't do it throughout the whole play, it won't happen. Well, I can assure you it went through the whole.
Oh, absolutely. You have stamina galore.
Well, it was the first show I've done I did out here in Illinois, one of the first where I was using my voice. But I've done other things. I was Colonel Hugh Pickering in what was it? My Fair Lady. I had to sing on stage, and I had the British accent. And
okay. If you sang on stage, now answer this question. This is going to be a tricky one. Why is it that singers, you don't hear their accents?
That's a great question, and I always wonder that myself when I hear people from England when they're talking. They've got the accent and that, but then when they're singing, you don't hear it. I'm not quite sure, but
okay. So when you sang, did you have to use the voice?
Well, tonight, old man, you did it. You finally did it. You said you could do it. I kind of sang talk because I'm not a great singer. My legs were flapping like leaves in a windstorm. And the musical director's down there below. She's mouthing the words. I knew the words. She was just trying to keep me going. And it worked out very well, but I did kind of have a little bit of an accent during that. It felt right. And again, I had a lot of folks that were pretty impressed. The last show that I did, I was a nerd. I was the nerd in a play called The Nerd. It was the lead.
And I talk like this, my name's Rick Stedman, and I was like a nerd, and it was really obnoxious, and at the very end of the play,
I come out dressed as a real person. I'm using my real voice. And I got to tell you that after the show, a lot of people came up and
how do you like the show?
Jim, the show was great. You were awesome, but if you use that voice anymore, we're going to crack you across the head because it really got grating on us.
Right.
Well, that's the whole intention,
Anyways, so I just do a lot of creating, and that long answer to your question, Jojo, but thank you for asking.
Jim, how many voices do you have?
Well, Jojo, I'd say I probably have around 30. I've never really kept track of them. I'm very spontaneous, and they just come up. I can put an English accent on a different voice.
He can start talking like this.
And then just lower the voice a little bit.
Oh, it just depends on how I'm feeling, and I can put an accent on it.
So I couldn't really put a number on it, but there are a lot of them, and I have a lot of them come out when I'm on the telephone with customer service reps.
Can you do a Russian accent?
Well, I probably could talk Russian if I tried, but I have to hear some of the accents I have to hear first. I'm not always sure if I'm getting it quite right, but I do know one thing. What's his name? Not Boris Yeltsin. That's the guy that had the big space like South Africa on his forehead.
Goba, what's his name? Gorbachev?
Well, yeah.
I killed the name. But we know who we're talking about. The president of Russia.
Right, he's no longer here. And Putin, I don't do Putin. Putin, currently, Putin. Well, I cannot talk about Putin because I'll be accused of doing a lot of things which are not really true. But he did tell me who to vote for in the last election.
All right. Have you ever tried to use one of your voices to pick a woman up on the phone when she didn't see you? And tell me the story, because I know you have one. I don't know what you have, but I know you have one.
Well, I have had a number of gals that I've spoken to, and more often they're customer service reps. Excuse me. And I'll be talking to them, and all of a sudden I'll change my voice, or I'll get a little bit deeper, and they're like, "Wow, you've got a great voice. I really like that." I've actually had some ask me to call them later in the evening with a lower voice. It's like, "Oh, you don't want to hear me talk like this?" They go, "No, we don't want to talk to him right now. We'd rather talk to the guy with the deep voice." I can't recall if I've ever met anyone as a result of my voice, but I've certainly had a lot of interactions with gals, most of them, unfortunately, a long distance from where I am located. But I do have fun on the phone and opening up, getting customer service folks. I find a couple of things happen. One, they're smiling, and they'll tell me that, this is probably the best call they've had in years. And so funny. Many times I've gone in kind of not happy with what's going on, but by the end of the call, they're laughing so hard that they've got to get off the phone. I've gotten folks to do extra special favors for me simply because of the laughter I brought. And I had a number of gals, "Please, would you call me back again sometime and surprise me, because you've made me laugh so hard." Just this last week, I had an AT&T issue, which I'm sure a lot of people have had issues with AT&T. And the gal said, "I'm getting a headache from laughing, but I got to tell you, this is the last call of the day." And it is one I will never forget. But I just kept changing it up on her. And
He just has a tendency to do that.
you've heard the phrase, Jojo, I have to ask if I may, you've heard the phrase, "There's no room for rent in my head."
Yes, I
Well, in my head, there are no vacancies.
Yeah, because we're all taking the space.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever he says. Anyways, so the voices as they strike me, and just the situation, kind of, it's very spontaneous.
Do you ever talk to the animals?
Actually, I do talk to the animals, and
Do tell.
well, mostly to birds. I've gone to the zoo and gotten animals to react, but I impersonate. I can actually, cows. This is a great example. I can go to a field that there are cows in, and I've had people in the car with me. I'll pull over and then, "What do you do?" "I'm going to call the cows over." And they're like, "Right." And then I get into my cow impersonation. I was actually, share a quick story with you. I was down in Tennessee, and I was with a fellow from Florida, and we were driving around and came by a field with some cows, and there's a pretty big farmhouse way up on a hill, and I pulled over the car. I got out and I started mooing, and I don't know if you want to hear the moos or not.
Well, yes, you can't say that you're going to do a cow impression and not do it.
Moo, 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 nah, nah, nah. Anyway.
That was really very good.
Well, this herd of cows got up, came across the field to the fence. I won't tell you what a couple of the cows were doing to each other, but anyway, about a few minutes later, a truck drives down. The lady up in the farmhouse was doing the dishes. She saw me pull over. She saw the cows a minute later get up and start walking to the fence. She thought there was a problem. She came down and said, "Is there something wrong?" I said, "No, I was showing my buddy how to call the cows." She said, "Well, I watched, and I'm pretty darn impressed. You certainly did." I said, "Tell me, do these sounds that I'm going to make for you sound pretty real?" And I did what I thought was like a calf or a full-grown cow. And she said, "Oh my God." She said, "I've never heard anybody." And I know that people will say things like "combos" or whatever, but I've never heard anybody cow call using impersonation of a cow. And I've done horses, but dogs, or cats, I get along great. I have to, when I get two of them, the animal sounds are a different constriction of my throat. So it kind of.
Okay, so with the cows, What do you think you were saying to the cows? Because they got up. Do they think you were wanting to mate with them? I mean,
Well, I don't.
I mean, really, what's going on there?
Well, I'm not really sure what they were thinking I was saying. I just thought I would impersonate, my idea of a calf, and then larger cows. Maybe I was telling them I love milk. I mean, I had no idea.
Or maybe you were telling them that you wanted to feed them. Maybe they thought you were.
That could have been.
Right.
But I have done that many times, and every time that someone's been with me, they're like, dude, you're just, never have they heard anything like that or seen anything like that. I thought about going to the state fairs where they do cow calling, but I've never tried that.
Okay, so I don't know why this keeps popping in my head, but I have this impression in my head that something has happened with your voices with fishing or a cruise. Have you done anything with fishing where you've called a fish and you've been very successful?
No, but I used to think I could make whale sounds, because that squealing of the whales, but I never tried that in the water, especially near Cape Cod, because there's some hungry fish now that live off the coast of the Cape, and I don't want to be fed or feed. I don't want to become the food.
Can you do a whale call?
Well, I'll give it a try. It's been quite a while. I have to, I don't know
That's really good. And what about dolphins?
It's been a while. I don't know that I want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll skip that. You have 2 granddaughters?
I have 3 granddaughters.
3 granddaughters. Do you do your impressions with them? Do they love it?
They do love it, and I know they love it because they, Grampy, please, you got to stop doing that. When they were very little, the oldest one, I used to call up at Christmas time, and I would do Santa Claus. Ho, 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 hello, Alyssa, how are you? Ho, 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 ho. And chat with her for a little bit and ask her to, well, Alyssa, you got to go to bed now. Because when you wake up in the morning, Santa, I will have been by to drop off some gifts. And I'm hearing my voice in my head, which many people out there, I'm sure, don't like hearing their own voice. I do get past it, but right now so it's Santa Claus I'll do. Sometimes I'll pretend I'm a little elf or whatever, but the granddaughters do like it. And the middle one, she will try to impersonate her voice now. At 7 years old, she'd answer the phone thinking she was talking like her dad. She has fooled me and spoken and sounded just like her little sister, her younger sister, and actually fooled me. So I know that they're picking up.
They're copying you. Jim, you've had some education.
Yes.
In the arts. Do tell.
Well, I majored in theater up in Canada. I left school, however, prior to graduating, but the desire to keep acting and that was within me. And I took a hiatus from doing any stage work. When I came out to Illinois, I started getting involved. I joined a theater group right after moving here and was getting parts. I mean, rarely would I read and not get a part in a play. I did spend a year studying at Second City School of Improv here in Chicago. I'm very improvisational, right? Kind of in the moment. So not just the voices, but I have a tendency to bring humor also into what I'm creating in the moment. And the Second City really had a big impact on giving me the ability and the comfort to loosen up and to do improvisational things and just off the top.
Give us an example. And how long were you there? How long were you?
Well, I spent a year. I studied there for a year, and we did our last show. Our graduation show was on the main stage, which people come from all around to go to Chicago to see Second City troupe. I didn't audition for them. I did audition for one of the plays they did. However, living 45 miles away, they felt I was too far away to make it in for the rehearsals, and I could understand their concern there. But, as far as improvisational, it's almost an in the moment type of thing for me right now to create something. I want to. Well,
I guess what I could do is just kind of change it up and say, sitting here, JoJo, talking to you, I'm really enthralled. One, you look wonderful.
she looks simply marvelous.
I just said that.
I know, but she looks great, doesn't she?
Yeah, she looks pretty good. Yeah, if I were there, I'd probably ask her out.
No, you're not going to ask her out.
Well, I would, but somebody might get upset with me.
Yeah, I would definitely get upset with you if you were to ask her out in front of me. Anyways, it's just the stories go on in my head. It's for me to be at a loss of words right now is probably a terrible time to do that. However, I could share a couple stories with you if you would like, where my voice came in very handy. In fact, I'm sure a number of folks out there could relate to this. If anyone that's listening to this has ever gotten a telemarketing call that was unexpected, I answered the phone one day and the recording said, if you're over 65 and interested in an emergency alert bracelet, please press 1. Well, I thought about it for about 2 seconds and realized, here we go. Time to spend some time on the telephone. So I pressed 1. They said hello, and I went, hello? And, well, who is this? Well, it's the emergency alert bracelet coming. Oh, okay. What can I do for you? Well, they went on to tell me about the emergency alert bracelet, and I told them I was going to be 95 in a couple of months. What is this again? I must have asked them 20 times during a 20-minute call, because I kept them on the phone for 20 minutes. What was this? Well, it's the emergency alert bracelet. It'll help if somebody... Oh, Mary fell down, and she was on the floor for 3 days. And the gal at the other end, your wife was on the floor for 3 days? What? Well, didn't you try to pick her up? I tried to pick her up, but I messed in my Depends, and I had to go and take care of it. And I forgot that she was there. And you left your wife on the floor for 3 days. Like I said, I tried to pick her. What is this again? And they got into the whole sales thing. It's only $39.95 a month, and you get a pendant. And at one point, I was like,
who is that guy on the end of the phone, Harry?
It's like, so who is this again? I was just determined to burn up a lot of time because it was an unwanted telemarketing call. And it was very humorous. I almost wish I had recorded the whole thing. Towards the end, and I need to share this, I finally agreed that I would get the emergency alert bracelet. And the gal said, we need to put you into the confirmation call. And I said, confirmation? I said, yes, just to confirm. What, Mary? Mary said I had confirmation when I was 15. She said, not that kind of confirmation. Anyhow, that call was very spontaneous from my end. The gal at the other end, I'm sure, was probably almost sorry she had taken the call. But so I do have fun when the telemarketers call, and it gives me an opportunity to practice some of my voices.
So Jim, did you get the alert bracelet?
No, I didn't want. No, in fact, when they put me through to the confirmation call, I didn't have the heart to give the different gal. I said, look, I just want to let you know, I took 19 minutes and 20 seconds of your telemarketing time. I really don't care for these calls, and I have no desire to have one of your bracelets. But when you get to be my age, you really don't care if you fall down or not. And when the fact of the matter is, at that age, you don't want to be taking falls, because these are things that can be very drastic for folks. But
Jim, that was a fabulous story.
Well, I thank you. One that I wish I had recorded, and I've gotten on the radio a couple of times with my voices here out WLS Radio, which is a huge radio station here in Chicago. And
what was the purpose of the call?
Well, thank you for asking. Don, Wade, and Roma, the hosts on the show, we're talking about Miss America, and Don Wade is he's, crosses over the line. He's not politically correct, nor am I, but he made a comment about Miss America kind of looking like a horse because she had such big teeth. Well, I thought, okay, I'm going to call and get right in, and it's usually you have to wait, but I know how to get in pretty quickly. So I called up and, hello, my name's Ed, and I'd like to talk to Don Wade and Roma, please. Don Wade says, we've got a special guest on the line. Mr. Ed's with us today. Hello, Don. How are you? And Mr. Ed, how are you doing? Well, I heard you talking about that sweet filly that won the Miss America. Anyways, I talked to him for a few minutes like I was Mr. Ed and kind of had fun. And it was fairly funny. Tom Snyder was on a couple of days later, the Tom Snyder show. He did radio late at night.
Tom, yeah. And
I called into Tom Snyder because he had said something about hearing that WLS was making fun of Miss America and brought Mr. Ed in. So I called up and, hello, is Tom there? And spoke to Tom for a little bit. The next morning, I turned on the radio and hearing WLS saying someone was on the Tom Snyder show talking about us and how we were making fun of Miss America. We had Mr. Ed on. So I immediately dialed up the phone number and I said, I'm the guy that was on. They said, how do we know? I said, this is the part of the interview you didn't play. And I went into it and I talked to him. Within seconds, I was on the radio again and talking with Don. But I used to call in quite a bit and tell stories, sometimes with voices and sometimes without. I've always had a thing for radio, even when I was living back in Worcester.
Worcester.
Yes.
Worcester. Yeah, people love your voice. You have a voice that just takes people in.
And thank you. I just spoke with a gentleman last night, in fact, from AT&T, and I was doing a few voices with him, and he was laughing so hard. He said, look, you've got to be serious because I need to get my job done. But when we got done, in fact, I believe you had called me during that call.
I did.
He heard me, and when we got done with the call, he said, I'm going to see you somewhere. I hear you on cartoons, see you at a comedy club. And I got to tell you, when I heard you talking to that lady that called, your regular voice was very calming. You've got a voice that you kind of want to hear. He said, dude, whatever you're doing now, you're in the wrong business. And really, my life dream has been to use the gift that God has given me, that I've shared with many, and I've given it away. And I love to share it with kids. I love doing kids shows and just making people laugh.
Have you ever thought about doing like a character voice on Sesame Street?
Well, I used to imitate. Hey, Bert. Hi, Ernie. How you guys doing? I would copy Miss Piggy, or I have to hear sometimes I have to hear the voices. But Bert and Ernie and Cookie Monster were voices I did for my nephews. Oh yeah. Oh, he's a very funny guy. He also thinks he can talk like Mickey Mouse, but not really. Anyways, I've done a lot with the kids. Many kids on the telephone. Parents, I'll call kids up. When I know a child's got a birthday coming or has a birthday, I'll call a parent and say, would you mind if I shared a little of my voice with your child? And they love it. And there was a while during Christmas that I would be Santa Claus for other people's kids.
Sure.
To get them to go to sleep. That was the big challenge on Christmas Eve.
Wow. Well, there's something you could do with your voice for children if you wanted to do something to give back. And there's a lot of kids that are in hospitals that really need to laugh. And you have all these voices. So Jim, who is your favorite voice? What voice do you like using the most? If there's a voice that you have and you say, oh, I love this voice, I wish I could share it with the world. That's your voice, not a copy of anyone else.
Well, I know when I talk like this is one I go back to quite a bit, and I'm not really sure. But I also like doing the high voices.
I don't know that I have a specific voice. It's a great question. You kind of caught me off guard with that.
That's my job.
Well, I know, and you're doing a wonderful job, isn't she?
Yeah, she's doing a great job, Jim. She's got you.
No, I don't know that there's one go-to voice that I can think of. It's probably the higher voice, generally because I can go from
You're a real high voice like that
to a very low voice like this, and actually had a conversation with a gentleman who does Disney movies, and he called at the request of a friend of mine who's won an Emmy, and I went through a number of my voices, and one of the things that he said is, in all the years I've been doing this work, I've never heard anyone transition from one voice to another so smoothly, which I don't think about. When I'm on a roll, it happens. And yeah, so, but a specific voice, I really can't say.
Okay. Well, because I'm thinking that when you get that call from Disney or Sesame Street and they say, Jim, we need you to come in. We have this character. You have to come up with a voice, because that could happen. So, Jim, I would like you to do all different voices and tell us the story, because this is my favorite story about you. I cannot get the story out of my mind. I think you know which one I'm gonna ask you, but you never did it with the voices. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. I'm putting you on the spot. You have a story of something very unique that you did. You're the only person on the planet that I know that's ever done this. It's a Christmas story.
Right.
With your grandchildren. So
Yes.
Take it away if you're so inclined.
Well, a little backstory to this. I'm out here in Aurora, Illinois. I'm 35 miles away from Chicago, about as far away from Chicago as Worcester is from Boston. And my three granddaughters are on the north side of Worcester, up in a town called Holden. And I really wanted to see them for Christmas, and I was trying to figure out how I can do this but surprise them.
So I was sitting here one day and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to fly out there and they're not going to know I'm showing up.
So I picked up the telephone. I made some reservations with Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, he did. And I was with him when he did it.
And so I called Southwest and I booked a red eye that was leaving out of Midway Airport at 11:30 at night. And I wound up calling the girls in the evening and told them how much I was going to miss being with them for Christmas. I hope they had a great sleep and wake up, and I'm sure whatever they're looking for and want to have for Christmas, Santa will bring to them. Ho, ho, ho. And we got off the telephone. That was, I think, 7:30 here, 8:30 there. I rushed to Midway Airport. I got on a plane.
And I was kind of lonely on the plane. I had to talk to myself quite a bit.
But there were plenty of people up in my head that I could talk to, so I had no problem with that.
Flight attendant walked by and she says, who are you talking to?
Oh, I don't know, but there's somebody up there in his head he's talking with quite a bit. Would you like to sit down and talk with it? And she's, no, I've got stuff to do anyway. So we got to Boston and Providence, Rhode Island, down near the water. And my son picked me up. We got up to his house. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I had him pick up a refrigerator box. And he had the box. The girls were asleep. I came to the house. We wrapped the box, cut a little door in the front of it, cut the back end out of the box. And I laid on the couch and
I was trying to get some sleep, and it was really difficult because I was so excited about seeing the girls. Anyways, I kept tossing and turning.
We actually locked the doors. We tied their doors shut from one doorknob to another so that if they woke up before I had a chance to get in the box, they couldn't get out of their room. And so I got in the box. My son was up. He undid the door. They got up and came out. And the little one goes, Dad, look at the size of that box. How did Santa Claus get that box down the chimney? And the other ones were like, wow, what could that be? And they had no idea. And I'm in the box. And eventually my son said, I think there's a tag on there. And they went over and read it. It said, to the girls from Grampy. And they were like, wow, what did Grampy send us? And finally he got the oldest one to open the door. She was a little afraid, there's a hole in it. Pull it open. And she pulled it open, and I jumped out. I had one of those Christmas Santa Claus hats on, and Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And they, of course, run up, start crying. They couldn't believe, Grampy, how'd you get here so quickly? I hitched a ride with Santa Claus, and it was really quite an experience for me. I was so excited to see the girls, and they were crying, and we all had a good time, and it was a great Christmas for them. Yeah, and when I think about having done that, it was an effort, but an effort that was rewarded very, very well. They were crying, and I was glad I took that trip. The last thing they expected was to see me pop out of that box.
You're a good grandfather.
Well,
You must be. What a beautiful story. They will never forget that.
no, and this past Christmas I did a similar thing. However, the oldest one was supposedly going to a Christmas party with my son. They drove to Providence. He winds up in the cell phone lot, and he called his friend, Brian, I'm lost. How do I get there? She didn't realize they were at the airport. They drove up the ramp. It was midnight, and she saw me. I was the only one standing there. She got out of the car just in tears. She couldn't believe that I made it out. But we played a little trick on the two younger ones where they were opening their presents that Christmas morning, and I came out of one of the bedrooms like I just woke up in this thing. And my son, my daughter-in-law, and the oldest granddaughter all like, Grampy, what are you doing here? How'd you get here? And I said, I don't know. I went to sleep, and for the whole day, I pretended I had been teleported out there, that I went to sleep and wound up here.
That's beautiful.
Finally, I had to tell the two little ones because they were really confused.
Rabb, voices you'll always remember. What do you want to share with our audience? What words do you want to tell them? Or what voices do you want to share with them that they'll always remember?
Wow. I guess I think what I would like to share is that I believe I have a talent that I've been given to share with the world, to bring smiles to the faces of people that need those smiles, to change up the day, to add something different for folks that might be doing animation. I've always dreamed of finding somebody that does animation but is looking for voices for characters, because of the diversity. And there's so many more that I haven't gone through today, because again, they just kind of start rolling from one into another. But it all comes from my heart, and with the belief that we can make the world a happier place, leave people feeling good about an interaction. And as I alluded to earlier, sometimes those interactions don't start out well. If I've had poor customer service, I could go in like a lion, but I try to come out like a lamb, and have people go, wow, I could use one of those calls every week, versus I hope I never get a call like that for the rest of my life. And it's truly doing the voices is what really puts a smile on my face. I've thought about this lately a lot in the last year as I get into the final quarter of my game. The biggest smile on my face happens when I'm doing the voices and I hear people at the other end loving it and enjoying it. Or the gal across what do you call it? You go to the grocery store and get your cold cuts, where somebody said, boy, you have a voice that I could listen to all day. But what people said, what makes you happy? I think I've discovered what really makes me happy is getting the feedback from others that I've brought joy and something good to their day. And right now in the world that we're living in, we need a whole lot more of that. I had I used to impersonate Smokey the Bear, or Smokey Bear.
Oh, I like Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent forest fires. So I've changed that now to only you can prevent the spread of COVID-19. That's
Jim, that's great.
But, and that I just actually thought of only moments before we connected here today. But I like the freedom of letting go and being what other people might call goofy, but there's too much seriousness. And I don't know that I'm supposed to be so serious.
No, you are not supposed to be serious. You're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. And
You do it so flawlessly and so
Right.
beautifully, and you make people smile, and you're creative and you're spontaneous.
And I tend to do things, and I hope you don't mind. I'm not supposed to wear a hat inside, but
Go
I
ahead.
sometimes when I'm on with the kids, and I need to lean in so that you can see this.
I don't want to grow up. None of us want to grow up. So Jim, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I don't know. I want to be young. That's what I'd like to be when I grow up. I want to stay young and youthful.
Yeah, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And it's funny you should ask that, because a lot of times people say, where did you grow up? And my response has always been, when? And they're, what? No, where did you grow up? And I'll say when, because in my mind, I'm still keeping it, trying to keep it young and fresh. And this was given to me actually by the children of a gal that I knew, who thought I was pretty funny and with the voices and just other things that I do. And yeah, I'm looking for an opportunity. And I have done a little bit of voiceover work, more with a traditional voice. I want to go back to the radio, if I may, for a moment. I had heard that Aflac was looking for a new voice. Many people don't realize Gilbert Gottfried was the voice of the original Aflac duck. And after the tsunami, and just a little backstory here, if I may, Aflac started their business back in 1956. They were selling supplemental cancer insurance in Japan. And the reason it was so big in Japan through the banks was because of having the bombs there and the numbers of cancers. Unfortunately, Gilbert made a bad joke about the tsunami. And then they were looking for a new person because he was gone 24 hours after his joke, which was not.
I vaguely remember that. Something happened.
Well, they had the tsunami, and Gilbert Gottfried a couple days later said,
Yeah, in Japan, you don't have to go looking for a girlfriend. They just come floating by you.
well, he didn't realize he choked the golden goose, in this case, the golden duck. So they were looking for voices, and I kept doing, I've done the Aflac voice for years, the duck voice. And I practiced on the computer, but I couldn't figure out how to upload it. I called that WLS radio, and they were looking, they said, if you think you have what it takes to do the voice, call us. And I called up, and I did my
Aflac!
started talking a little bit like the duck, and the guy said, wow, you get a golden ticket. And I had no idea what he was talking about. He's
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, well, right. In this case, golden ticket to come down and audition at a studio for the voice.
Did you?
I did. I was down there the next day, and there was a film crew that interviewed me. I had no idea. And the odd thing is I left Massachusetts as a manager with Aflac to move to Illinois. People didn't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I started with Aflac in Massachusetts in 1977 and moved out here to Illinois. But when I went in to do the audition, I don't know what happened, but he didn't say, don't forget we're using the duck. I used the human voice throughout the whole audition. It just...
You didn't use your duck voice?
No, and don't ask me what happened. I walked out of there, and it was like a ton of bricks hit me in the head. It's like, oh boy, wait a minute, I think I messed up there. And I said, is there any way I can go back in? And I couldn't get back in. I called the gentleman and said, listen, I'll take you out for a beautiful dinner. Let me back, because I think I've got what it takes. And it turned out that it didn't turn out.
I'm surprised that the producer didn't say to you on the spot, we want to hear that. We want to hear the duck.
Yeah. Well, I sent him an email and phoned him and said, look, I'll take you to Morton's Steakhouse, which is a high-end steak. Please let me come back. I know I've got what it takes.
You can take me to Morton's Steakhouse. I mean, I love steak.
Yeah. And, well, when I come back, we'll go for a steak.
All right.
I was then told that I should have called Aflac because I know their phone number from back in 77.
You know, Jim, everyone deserves a second chance. So, Jim, is there any other story you'd like to tell? I love that last story.
I'm just trying to think. Not that I can think of offhand. I'm just looking at some notes that I have here.
Tongue-tied in all the time I've known you. You never run out of words to say, ever.
And that's when I've told people you've left me speechless. They're like, "There's no way. You're Jim Rabb. There's no way."
Right.
I've got a fellow that I paddle. I kayak quite a bit. And my paddling buddy says, "Jim, you need to come up with a radio show called Up All Night. UPPAUL all night. Up all night." He says, "You don't stop talking." It's like,
okay. Tell us about your branding with your Rabb-it.
oh, Laughing Rabbit. Yeah, that is a name that I thought of using for a long time. And I happen to have a little ceramic rabbit that would be my logo. So if I were able to get work or literally get into the voiceover business, what have you, I'd want to use this rabbit as my logo, as if I may. With the last name of Rabb, I used to be called Rabb-it quite a lot, but so I thought about Laughing Rabbit.
Absolutely. Have you thought about being one of the voices on Saturday Night Live or auditioning for them?
I used to do the live. I got to think about it. The announcer, Don, I think it was Don Pardo. I'd copy those guys. I thought about that. Again, impersonating the intro to Live from New York. And I'm not hearing it in my head right now, although I'd probably throw you an example of it. But,
So if I'm correct, you can really imitate any voice that you hear as long as, or you can practice it and get it down.
Yeah, when Ross Perot, I don't see if I can pull that out. Ross Perot.
You got that voodoo economics thing going on.
And it's not quite, again, it takes a little bit, I used to talk to folks like this and tell them, Hillary was one of my favorite girls, but, when I talk like, well, I love Bill. Bill's a wonderful man.
So Jim, we're gonna wrap this up. What would you like to share with our audience before we go?
Well, I tell you, if there's anyone out there that would like to have fun with a friend, a family friend, a relative or whatnot, and would like to maybe spoof them on the phone, I've had people call me and give me phone numbers of someone to call. They'll give me a little information. It's Sarah. It's her birthday. Here's her number. She'll answer the phone, and then I'll get into something and maybe know a little bit about where she's working and call as either a customer. But I like doing that kind of thing. If anybody is looking for a voice for their answering machines, for whatever, I believe I might be able to bring something to their table that they would be happy to have. I just hope, my hopes are that somebody out there hears a voice, and I wish I could string them all together for them right now, but I can assure them that I bring something to the table that very few do, and if they like what they're hearing, reach out to you. There'll be information. I'm not sure when folks see this, if there'll be information, a way to reach me. Please, my phone is always open to folks. I do great work as I've told people in the past, I give very good telephone. And
that's great. So can you do one of your voices to say goodbye?
Well, we'd all like to say goodbye, Jojo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a splice, Jojo, and talking to you, letting us sit in while Jim was talking to you.
Has really been an experience we won't forget.
I don't know why Jim didn't introduce me to you sooner, but you're kind of hot looking, and
Now stop that, Grandpa.
but she is. She's really kind of cute.
And I must say, Jojo, you're looking splendid. You look marvelous, simply marvelous. But thank you for those who've stayed on for this. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a smile. It's brought a smile to your face, and Jojo, thank you very much. It's certainly been a pleasure. And to all the folks in Boston, I miss the lobsters and the drawn butter. Wicked awesome stuff. And I'm stuck out here in Illinois, and all they got out here is frozen lobster tails. That don't work for me. So anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Folks, thanks for joining us for another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. See you soon. Peace.
Somerville Connects. Somerville Connects.